Welcome everybody. Thanks for joining today. So today's yoga, we're going to start on our feet. So I've got my mat, I've got a couple of blocks, a strap. I do have a blanket and an eye pillow. If those things are a part of your kit, that's wonderful. If not, don't worry about it. But otherwise, come to, when you're ready, come into a comfortable standing position on your mat, just feeling our feet connect to the ground, rolling through the body a little bit, just kind of feeling parts stack over our foundation. Drawing the chin in a little bit, looking to the right or the left. Maybe lifting the chin or the back of the head. Maybe lifting one ear or the opposite. So bringing the attention to the breathing, and pulling it as deep into the abdomen as we're able, and rolling the shoulders back. Inhaling as we bring the arms overhead. Exhaling, perhaps returning to our sides. Inhaling. Exhaling. Inhaling. Let's just continue to float the arms, maybe roll through the spine, lifting the chest as we breathe in, thinking about lifting the heart. Exhaling, maybe rolling forward. Inhaling. Exhaling. In. And out, maybe sitting into chair. Inhaling. Exhaling. In. Exhaling, maybe pouring forward, finding forward bend as we're comfortable. Inhaling and exhaling. In and out. Perhaps continuing to the time of your own breath. Maybe one more time through the flow that we're doing this alternating chair and forward bend. Inhaling as we come back overhead. Releasing the arms and rolling the shoulders out, maybe looking to the right or the left, up or down. So let's step back and find the longer edge here. Maybe sinking in for a few moments, opening the hips. And then maybe inhaling, radiating out from the center, exhaling as we sink down. So in these early moments, we're seeking to warm the body up, right? So we've kind of jumped right into some active aspects of the practice. Inhaling as we radiate up and out, exhaling as we sink back. So that's the idea. We want to try and get the heat up a little bit, get the body opened up and begin moving. Inhaling and exhaling. Maybe alternating the moon flow here with sunflower, inhaling up and down. Couple more. Coming back up. Releasing the arms when you're comfortable. Stepping back to the forward edge of the mat. Maybe shaking the legs out a little bit, circling the ankles if you'd like. It's important to make sure that we get all of the joints. My feet are a little cold this morning, so I'm really wanting to make sure that I pay some attention to them as well. Rolling the shoulders out, really extending through the body. Maybe looking to the right or the left, perhaps looking up or down. Maybe lifting one ear or the opposite. Okay, so we're going to build a little bit bigger flow soon. But as you're comfortable, maybe inhaling, lifting the arms overhead. Right? Maybe pausing here for a moment, really extending through the body, reaching toward the ceiling, lifting the ribs, really feeling the body extend, pressing the feet into the ground and lifting away from that. And when you're ready, exhaling, bending into the knees, hinging forward, rolling the body down as it's comfortable, and then maybe gently extending the legs, relaxing the neck and shoulders. Holding that forward bend a couple more moments. Bending into the knees when you're ready. Planting the hands on the ground. Maybe stepping back with one foot and then maybe the other. Bringing the elbows close as we lower most of the way down. Pulling through. Lifting back. Pausing here. Just gently extending the heels toward the ground. And maybe drawing the shoulders forward over our hands, elbows staying close as we lower partway down, pulling through, lifting back, pausing here, right, reaching the heels toward the ground, breathing in, breathing out. Gently walking things forward here as we're comfortable, reversing our swan dive, inhaling as we bring everything up, exhaling, maybe sitting down into chair, inhaling as we come up, releasing the arms, rolling the shoulders up, lifting. All right, so as we're comfortable, maybe stepping back with the right foot, finding a comfortable warrior one. Breathing in as we float up a little bit, exhaling as we sink in, just holding this posture as it's comfortable. Maybe finding an option with the arms that is comfortable for you, whether it's the Anjali Mudra at the center of our chest, or we lift, or extend back. Something that finds a peaceful position for you at the moment. Lifting things up, exhaling as we extend forward. Maybe walking down that forward leg, finding the floor or the block, bringing the back hip toward the forward foot just a bit. Pressing into the ground as we come up. Stepping back to the forward edge, maybe shaking the legs out. And then we'll go through the low series once again. Inhaling as we reach, exhaling as we gently pour forward, inhaling as we come up, exhaling as we step back. Elbows staying close, lowering down, pulling through, lifting back. Gently walking our feet forward, reversing the swan dive, sinking down, inhaling, and releasing. Rolling things out, and then let's step back with the left leg, finding a comfortable warrior one, and whatever arm option fits for you today. Lifting when you're ready, extending the forward leg, maybe extending forward, walking down, catching the ground if it's comfortable. Comfortable, and maybe coming back to the forward edge. All right, so let's shake the legs out for a moment, and then planting the feet on the ground, totally lifting the chest, maybe supporting just above the back pockets, right, drawing up and back. to neutral. Maybe turning from our hips, relaxing the arms. Inhaling as we extend the arms overhead. Exhaling, gently pouring forward, finding the ground. Maybe inhaling up to our fingertips, exhaling as we step back, finding our plank. Keeping the navel lifted as we lower about halfway down, pulling through, lifting back, finding downward dog, and holding here for a couple of breaths. Gently walking everything forward. Taking time, reversing our swan dive, inhaling as everything comes up, exhaling as we sit down, inhaling as we come up, and releasing the arms. Right? Rolling the shoulders out, shaking off the arms. Then let's step back, find the long edge. Starting with Warrior Two, right? Sinking in, reaching out through the arms, breathing in, breathing out. Sinking into that Warrior Two for a couple breaths more. When you're ready, inhaling, lifting everything up, exhaling as we cartwheel through, finding triangle. So keeping the chest broad, long, really maintaining length through the body, right? So kind of finding the hips and the tailbone and pressing the head in the opposite direction, reaching wide through the arms, breathing in and breathing out, maybe dropping that top arm behind our body or even connecting the hands if you'd like. So all options within the triangle. We're going to come back to this so that these options may show up again later for you. Coming upright when you're ready and sinking in. Now we're going to cartwheel through the triangle. I'm sorry, the Warrior Two. I'm going to cartwheel through. I want to find my way to the ground and then stepping back. Right, elbows staying close, lowering down, part way, pulling through, looking up, lifting the hips back. Stepping forward with the left foot, cartwheeling up into Warrior Two once again. So really what it takes to lift us up from the ground and take us back, or take us down and lift us back up. All right, so then turning on the heels to the opposite end. So there's a couple of reasons why I'm doing it this way, and where we kind of work with the one long edge instead of going all the way around the mat. But finding our way into Warrior Two. Breathing in and breathing out. Holding a solid Warrior Two. Inhaling as we come up, exhaling, then cartwheeling into triangle. Broad through the chest, long through the body. Maybe binding and just working with what's available. Releasing, coming upright when you're comfortable. And cartwheeling through Warrior Two, right? So lowering down, reaching to the ground as much as we're able, planting both hands, stepping back, lowering down, partway, right? Pulling through, looking up, lifting back. downward dog for a moment. And then lifting the right leg forward, cartwheeling back up through our warrior two. So let's come all the way up into the middle, paralleling the feet for a moment and extending our body forward into the middle. Breathing in and breathing out here. Reversing when you're comfortable. All right, so let's turn and actually step all the way back to whatever was the forward edge of our mat. Maybe shaking the legs out a little bit. All right. Good. So planting both feet solidly on the ground at a comfortable width. All right. Inhaling, extending through the body. Bending into the knees, exhaling halfway forward. Right, so we're flattening out the torso, maybe rolling the shoulders back. So the hope is that our hands are roughly the height of our back pockets, pressing the tailbone back as we press the crown of the head forward, breathing in and breathing out. Exhaling, releasing forward whenever it's comfortable, just softening into the forward bend. Planting the hands on the ground, gently stepping back one foot, and then maybe the other, finding our plank, but we're staying close, lowering down, pulling through, lifting back. And gently drawing the feet and the hands closer together, reversing the swan dive here as we're comfortable. Exhaling as we sit, inhaling as we lift, and releasing the arms, right? Rolling the shoulders back, maybe folding the arms behind our body. Thinking about rolling the chest back or open. Maybe looking to the right or the left, or lifting one ear or the opposite. So let's step to the open, long edge of the mat once again. Sinking down as we're comfortable. Right, so finding a depth where if our arms are relaxed and we gently touch our knees, we're probably doing pretty good. All right, good. So from there, let's extend both arms out as if we were in warrior two. So the arms are just moving in opposite directions and we'll sink down. Now, instead of leaving the palms down like we would with warrior two, let's turn the palms up as if we were kind of holding something, like a teacup or something, just something in the palm of the hand, sinking down, drawing the shoulders back a little bit, breathing in and breathing out as we sink into our foundation just a bit, even if that's more of a mental idea, rather than thinking about trying to lift ourselves up, just sitting into the position a bit. releasing the arms here. Rolling the shoulders out, maybe paralleling the feet. Now, if you'd like to keep your hands right on the body, maybe leaving them there as we exhale forward, maybe walking down the legs as we have been doing, just finding a way to pour into the forward bend, pressing our back pockets back a little bit. Maybe one more breath. Lifting up as you're comfortable, bringing everything up. And then let's turn and step back to the forward edge of the mat. Maybe shaking the legs out a bit. Maybe turning from the hips. All right. So, as we're ready, inhaling, radiating, or extending the arms overhead. Exhaling, pouring halfway forward. Right, planting them, pressing through the legs, rolling the shoulders back, opening the chest, breathing in and breathing out. Exhaling, releasing forward. Inhaling, maybe coming up onto our fingertips. Stepping back as we're comfortable, lowering things down. Elbows staying close, lowering down, pulling through, inhaling, looking up, and lifting back. Right, so we find our downward dog as it's comfortable. Right, maybe working the feet for a moment, pressing heels into the ground, lifting the hips. Pausing here, breathing in and breathing out. So as we're comfortable, maybe lifting the left leg, maybe hooking behind our back just a little bit, right? So this is kind of to help find a little bit of length down the left side of the body. Maybe coming back, pulling that left foot forward, dropping the right heel, lifting into warrior one. Breathing in, lifting the ribs, breathing out, sinking the hips. So whatever is a comfortable warrior one for the moment. Lifting, draw everything up, exhaling as we take it forward. Finding pyramid, turning the right hip toward the left foot. Lifting up as we're comfortable. Sinking back into warrior one, and then maybe lifting the back heel. So we find a bit of a lunge. So with the lunge, maybe we lift the chest a bit, breathing in, breathing out. Maybe we turn through it, whether we bring the right elbow to the left knee, or we plant the right hand on the ground or our block in some way and turn through the torso. lifting as we're comfortable, maybe finding our way back to the moon. Maybe dropping that back knee, really extending through. So that back knee drops, so we're just going to continue opening that line, reaching overhead and even back. So the idea really is that the back side of our body really becomes this crescent-shaped moon. And exhaling, releasing the arms, sinking back, whether we keep our body high, extending the left leg at this point and lean out. Or sometimes I'll do this and actually sit right back. But today I really am feeling the extension and the reach over that forward foot. So I mean, we could stay up and do pyramid, but this is just a little different way to catch it, kind of rolling the heel or the toes back so we're on the heel. Maybe aiming the toe in different directions for a couple of moments and then returning to center. Thinking about squaring our hips, right? So we pull that left hip back. And then as we're comfortable, maybe stepping back with the left foot. So we find our way down to child's position for a moment. As we're ready, drawing the hands forward, bringing the shoulders out over our hands, maybe coming up onto both palms, rolling onto the right side, side plank, coming back, lowering down, pulling through, lifting back to downward dog. And then let's come forward to plank. We'll roll onto our left side for a side plank. Right, so at this point you'll notice both feet are on the ground. They were a little bit wide when I started with plank, so there's room for me to roll and maintain the stability of 2 feet. So we'll take note that'll probably change if we do it again. Elbows staying close, lowering down, pulling through, lifting back, right, finding downward dog. And then gently bringing both feet forward, however you get them there. Reversing the swan dive, exhaling as we sit down, and lifting, releasing the arms, rolling the shoulders out and shaking things out. And then let's find the long edge of the mat here once again. Standing straddle position, I'm going to sneak my feet a little bit further apart and then taking things down. And then let's turn to the opposite end of the mat. Starting with our warrior one, finding a fairly comfortable warrior position. Whatever happens to be an appropriate arm option for the moment, just a couple more breaths. Lifting as you're ready, coming up. So we find pyramid. Extending out over the right leg here, finding pyramid. Returning to warrior one, maybe lifting that back heel so we find the lunge. through, putting the left elbow on the right knee or the left hand on the floor in some way and turning through. So just because the hand is on the floor or the knee doesn't mean that we release our hips, right? So we're still working to hold and lift ourselves up here. Continuing to breathe. Releasing back to lunge, maybe lifting the arms, dropping the back knee. So we find our way down from the crescent lunge. Releasing the arms when you're comfortable. Maybe sitting back. Lifting the right toes, leaning out over that right leg. It's really extending through the heel. Pressing our chest toward our toes. Stepping back to child's position as we're comfortable, right? Sinking down. Pausing here for a moment or two. Coming up onto our knees, really extending the body here. Maybe curling the toes underneath. Supporting just above the back pockets, rolling the shoulders back, breathing in and breathing out. Maybe catching our heels and rolling back for camel. Supporting the neck. So we're not letting the head totally fall back, right? We're still making support there, extending through our neck. Maybe coming upright here as you're comfortable. Perhaps returning to child's position for a moment. Maybe walking the arms to the left or the right. Nice hold on the ground, really reaching the arms forward, drawing over our hands, lowering down, pulling through, lifting back. So let's find downward dog, maybe lowering the heels toward the ground for a moment. And then as we're comfortable, finding our way forward for plank, rolling onto one side, finding our side plank, and coming back, lowering down if you'd like. Pulling through, lifting back, forward, and then maybe rolling to the other side, side plank. Back to plank, lowering down, pulling through, lifting back. Maybe reaching up through the right leg, maybe hooking it behind our back,
So if I hook back with the right leg, I really want to focus on keeping the right hand pressed into the ground and pulling through, coming up into our warrior one, and then just going ahead and turning right to the side of the mat. Nice standing position here with our feet relatively parallel. Bringing the hands together behind your back, whether you interlace the fingers or, you can do the elbows or whatever you'd like. But the hope is that we're rolling the chest open a little bit, maybe looking upright, maybe even opening back just a bit. If you'd like to take this forward, maybe we find forward bend with a chest expansion. Reversing when you're comfortable. Shaking those out. Stepping back to the forward edge, shaking everything out. All right. So as we're comfortable, inhaling, reaching the arms overhead. Exhaling as we hinge halfway forward, rolling the shoulders back, finding the airplane here for the moment. So usually do this with 2 feet on the ground. If you want to move into warrior 3, right, we can lift one leg up and fly out over that forward leg. Whoop. So I lifted my right leg, flying into warrior 3. And we back down as we're comfortable, maybe releasing to a forward bend. Perhaps reversing the swan dive, coming upright, releasing the arms. And then let's step back with the right leg to find a warrior 2. So we'll do a little warrior 2 sequence. We'll get our warrior 3 on the other end. Dropping in here. Extending out through the arms, right? Warrior 2. Breathing in and breathing out. Inhaling as we come up, exhaling as we reach, cartwheel, maybe finding triangle once again with that bound position or whatever feels comfortable. Remembering if we bind, right, the idea of dropping that top arm behind the back, it's important to remember to continue to draw that top shoulder back. So if the hands don't meet with that in mind, then they don't meet. That's okay. Right? Just rolling it open, enjoying triangle for now, whatever expression we have found. Releasing, coming up, maybe sinking into warrior 2 once again, but then extending back for a reverse warrior, nice and long through the side. Breathing in and breathing out. Now from reverse warrior, let's stay in that same plane, going forward, finding the warrior angle. Now, for now, I've put my left hand, or my left elbow, I'm sorry, on my left thigh, left knee, staying long through the right side of the body. Now, a lot of times I see people will do this and they start to lift that back hip, so then we no longer, we actually have an angle at the hip, where the idea is we're kind of an angle with the ground and one line, ideally from our heel all the way to the tips of our fingers. Now there's lots of modifications of this. Obviously you can bind it if you'd like, just like we did in triangle, or drop that arm to your side. If the ground or a block becomes available here, and maybe we can press the hand into the floor, that is certainly an option, right? So it might take a little bit of the pressure off that forward leg, kind of helping us open the chest and rotate through the torso, right? So there's a lovely challenge there. when I do this, I tend to prefer to find the bind and then support through the center of the body, right? So this is working with my hips a little bit more. All right, now from there, I'm going to hopefully float out over the left leg. Now obviously I walked things forward and I took hold of the pole for a little support, but we can kind of find the half moon here. Whoops. And we're practicing our balance. So pressing the left foot, yes, pressing the left foot into the ground as we extend the right leg behind us, left hand maybe finding the block or the ground, and the right arm reaching toward the ceiling as we open our chest. This is a great one to practice against the wall, so you can kind of lean back into it for a little bit of support. I kind of don't like that I'm having such a challenge with this one today. I really like this for the hip and the idea of pressing that foot into the ground and opening the body. Let's release, right? We'll come back to a gentle forward fold for a moment. And reversing our swan dive. Bring everything up. Good. So I'm going to step to the other side here, and we'll do that basic set once again. Right, so we'll start with Warrior Two, extending out through the arms, breathing in and breathing out. Inhaling as we lift everything up, exhaling as we cartwheel in for triangle. Maybe binding or not, depends on how you're feeling with this. Rolling that top shoulder back. Upright as we're comfortable. Maybe sinking out into Warrior Two and then floating back into Reverse Warrior, right? Long through the side. Exhaling, maybe finding our way in for Warrior Angle. So again, at first, right elbow is on the right knee, and maybe that's where we remain. Right? Hopefully, we're finding a nice single line through the side of the body. If you'd like, maybe we find the floor or the block. Right? So that might allow for a little bit more flexibility. Take some of the pressure off or the lift out of the legs, or maybe we bind it and continue to support through the middle of our body. Releasing from there if you'd like, and maybe scooting up, perhaps finding a way float up into our half moon. All right. That's fun to play here. Right, standing solid through that leg, maybe finding our block. And releasing as we're comfortable, finding our forward bend for a moment. Now I didn't forget Warrior 3. We're going to do that very shortly here. Finding this forward bend for a moment or two, softening the body forward. And then when you're comfortable, maybe coming up to find an airplane, right? Rolling the shoulders back. Maybe we lift one leg off the ground. Releasing as you're comfortable, maybe pouring forward once again. So from there, softening into the forward bend, planting the hands on the ground, gently stepping back. Maybe rolling to one side for side plank, opening into it, maybe taking the top leg off the ground. And coming back to plank. Lowering down, pulling through, lifting back, so we find downward dog. Coming forward for plank once again, maybe rolling onto the side, opening up, maybe taking that top foot off the ground. Coming back to plank, lowering down, pulling through, lifting back. Lifting the right leg, maybe hooking behind our back. Perhaps coming underneath and then reaching the right leg across to the left side. Right, pressing our hips back here for a moment and then turning as if we were kind of trying to roll toward the right. Pressing the right foot into the ground for a moment. Unwinding here as you're comfortable, shaking things out. Bringing that right foot forward. Cartwheeling up to find Warrior 2. Lifting into the middle. One last standing straddle stretch here. Extending forward, lowering down, breathing in and breathing out. And reversing our swan dive. Cartwheeling through Warrior 2 on the left side. Finding the ground. Stepping back, making plank. So rolling onto one side, right? Finding side plank. This time lifting the lower leg, right? So the top foot presses into the ground, that lower leg comes up. When you're ready, rolling back, finding plank, lowering down, pulling through, lifting back, coming forward, rolling to the side, lifting the lower leg, side plank, back, lowering down, pulling through, lifting back, finding downward dog, lifting the left leg, right, reaching back, maybe hooking toward the shoulder, and then pulling through and underneath. Right, so the left leg reaches across to the right side, trying to reach the heel a little bit, pressing, maybe turning. Releasing when you're comfortable. Maybe finding downward dog for a moment. Perhaps releasing into child's position, sinking down to the ground. Resting our forehead. Breathing in and breathing out. Good. Releasing there. And coming up into hero. Right, so if hero is comfortable. So perhaps from the hero, maybe we recline. Now that's only if we can comfortably get all the toes on the ground and our knees are happy and we're hanging out here well. So if reclining is good, maybe sinking back so our elbows find the ground, maybe rolling the hips under a little bit. And I usually don't go further than with my elbows on the ground, but find a comfortable position for yourself. And that might be just staying in the upright position where we started. That might be returning to camel and using that instead. Just another option here. Couple more breaths. Coming up. Good. So from hero, let's extend into child's position. I'm actually going to adjust my mat here just a little bit, but extended child's position, downward dog, lifting the right leg, pulling that right foot forward and across. So finding pigeon. So right foot kind of works its way toward the left hand. I'm going to sink back a little bit, maybe working myself toward the right side. So I'm targeting 90-degree angles at my ankle, my knee, and my hip. And then maybe just softening the body forward here. Now there's lots of ways to do pigeon, but this does put a fair amount of body weight into the posture. So remembering to really pay attention to what your body is telling you. Listen to the whispers so that you don't have to hear it shout. Right? So if the knee is talking to you in some way, maybe reduce the angles or come out of the position and we can get into the other side. So I'm going to hold this one more breath and then I'm going to walk the hands back, curling the left foot, my back foot underneath, and then lifting back to downward dog. So I'm going to shake that right leg out for a moment, maybe finding downward dog for a brief second here. And then gently pulling the left foot up and across. Right, so again, working to find 90-degree angles, maybe scooting my weight back a little bit or toward the left side. Maybe hinging forward, right? So just finding what is available. Maybe one more breath here. And then working the hands back a bit. Releasing back into downward dog, shaking the legs out. Now here's a bit of a challenge. But let's see if we can bring the legs through, well, and come forward. So however you are able to do that, we'll just find that seated position for a moment, maybe circling the ankles, maybe sitting tall. Inhaling, maybe reaching overhead. Exhaling as we come forward, getting a nice solid hold on the toes. Lifting up. So let's turn to the long edge. Or you don't have to turn to the long edge, but open the legs anyway, a little wider. So we did a lot of standing straddle today, so we're not going to hang out necessarily with a lot of the seated straddle. But I do want to take it to the side today, maybe reaching up and then coming over. So I'm taking my left arm toward my right foot. Now the right elbow kind of presses into the right thigh to turn the body open. Maybe I take that right hand all the way out to the toes. Maybe the hands meet. I'm not sure that that's really appropriate for me today, but we can continue to extend and breathe. Up, and then let's move to the opposite side. Releasing there, maybe pulling the feet together, maybe drawing a little bit of support here, balancing if you'd like, maybe lifting, maybe releasing that support, whatever feels most comfortable. Releasing back to the ground. Bring your knees to our chest, rocking. Releasing the knees, maybe rolling up to find a bridge. Now that might be just heels and shoulders. That might be where we lift, or you kind of replace the shoulders with hands. Releasing down to the ground as you're comfortable. So wherever you are, maybe finding a way to melt the body into the ground, whatever that looks like for you today. letting go any tension, releasing any effort. Right? Maybe, maybe readjusting a little bit if we need to work our arms a little closer or a little further away from our sides, or, repositioning the legs, or finding a way to walk the head out of the shoulders a little bit. But just melting into the position. Continuing to breathe. Releasing from the soles of our feet, through the ankles, just feeling each joint, each bone, each muscle, each fiber kind of being surrounded with breath, using that breath to kind of inhale into the space, right? Opening that space up a little bit. And as we exhale, just releasing that tension, allowing that space to relax and just basically melt the soles of the feet, the ankles, and coming through the lower legs in much the same way, just feeling that breath kind of fill up through the leg from the ankle. Again, the inhalation, almost like a balloon, right? We just sort of draw breath into the area, and it fills in any negative space and just gently expands it. And then as we exhale, release, just kind of allowing the body to melt with a sense of relaxation, a sense of space, feeling of calm. And maybe coming through the thighs and the hips. Breathing in through the hips, through the lower part of our back, the entire abdominal area, really just expanding this area as much as we're able with the inhalation, and then as we exhale, just releasing, kind of letting that whole area soften into the ground. Inhaling and coming through the ribs, the torso. Again, creating space, letting each rib, each vertebra float up and away from one another. And as we exhale, just allowing the body to melt into the ground. One more breath through the shoulders, the arms, the neck. And whenever you're ready, maybe rolling onto one side, supporting the head with one arm and the opposite hand,
pausing here. And at whatever point you're ready, maybe coming up to a comfortable seated position. Closing out our time together today with 3 breaths. The first breath honoring the body for its work. Second breath, honoring the mind for its attention. And the third breath, honoring the breath itself for its presence and its feedback about today's practice. Taking a moment, saluting one another as we close out our time together today. Namaste. Thank you very much for joining today. Until next time.